Maria Santos rolled her wheelchair closer to the control panel. The red lights on the screen blinked slowly. She had been watching these same lights for 6 hours now. Her shift would end in 2 more hours, but she did not mind the long watch. Someone had to keep an eye on the monster they had caught. The creature lived in a special cage made of energy fields. It could not break out, or so the scientists said. Maria was not so sure. She had seen what this thing could do. It was smart. It's too smart for her liking. 3 months ago, the ship New Horizon had found a dead alien ship floating in space. Captain Lisa Grant had ordered a team to search it. They found many strange things. But the worst thing was sleeping in the bottom of the ship. Dr. Kevin Price wanted to wake it up and study it. Maria thought that was a bad idea. The creature was 8 feet tall and looked like a nightmare. Its skin was black and hard, like armor, had long claws that could cut through metal doors. But the worst part was how it could change. Sometimes it looked solid. Other times it could walk through walls like a ghost. The science team called this phasing Maria, pushed a button, and checked the energy readings. Everything looked normal. The creature was in its cage, probably sleeping. She hoped it would stay that way. Dr. Price walked into the room carrying a cup of coffee. He was a thin man with gray hair, who always looked excited about something. Today he looked more excited than usual. "Good evening, Maria," he said with a big smile. "How is our guest behaving tonight?" "It has been quiet," Maria replied. She did not like calling the monster a guest. "The energy fields are holding steady." Dr. Price nodded and looked at the screens. "Wonderful. Tomorrow we will try the communication tests again. I think it is learning our language faster than we expected." Maria felt cold when he said that. The creature was learning their words. Yesterday it had spoken 3 words in perfect English. It said, "Let me out," in a voice that sounded exactly like Captain Grant. The whole science team was amazed. Maria was terrified. "Dr. Price," she said carefully, "are you sure the cage will hold it?" Of course, he laughed. "The quantum fields are perfect. Nothing can phase through them. He tested everything." Maria was not sure about that. The creature watched them all the time. Its yellow eyes followed every person who walked by its cage. It was learning about them, studying them like they were studying it. The doctor left to get more coffee. Maria was alone again with the monster. She looked at the camera feed from inside the cage. The creature stood in the center of the small room. It never sat down or lay down like a normal animal. It just stood there and watched. 2 weeks ago, Maria had been hurt in an accident. She was fixing a broken sensor on the outside of the ship when her safety line snapped. She fell and broke both legs. The doctor said her bones would heal in a few more weeks. But until then, she had to use the wheelchair. Captain Grant wanted to send her back to Earth to recover. Maria asked to stay and help with the watch duties. She could still work the computers and watch the screens. The captain said yes because they needed every person they could get. Now Maria wondered if staying was a mistake. Being stuck in a chair made her feel helpless. If something went wrong, she could not run. She could not fight. All she could do was sit and watch. The creature turned its head and looked straight at the camera. Maria felt like it was looking right at her. Its yellow eyes seemed to glow in the dark cage. Then it did something new. It smiled. The smile was wrong. It was too wide and showed too many teeth, sharp teeth that belonged in the mouth of a killer. Maria wrote down the time in her logbook. The scientists would want to know about this new behavior. She checked the other screens around the room. Most of the crew was sleeping. Only a few people were awake doing night duties. Commander Jake Murphy was checking the engine room. Lisa Chen was watching the bridge. Dr. Price was probably drinking more coffee in his lab. The ship felt very quiet at night. During the day, it was full of noise and people talking. At night, it was just the soft hum of the engines and the sound of air moving through the vents. Maria liked the quiet, but tonight it made her nervous. She looked back at the creature's cage, was still smiling at the camera. Then it lifted one clawed hand and waved at her. Maria's blood turned cold. The thing knew she was watching. Knew exactly where the cameras were and who was behind them. Maria reached for her communication device to call Dr. Price. She wanted to tell him what the creature was doing. But before she could press the button, all the lights in the cage went out. The backup lights came on a second later. Cage was empty. Maria stared at the empty room in shock. She pressed buttons on her control panel, checking every sensor and camera. All the readings said the cage was still locked and secure. The energy fields were still active. The creature was gone. She grabbed her radio and called the bridge. "Lisa, this is Maria. We have a problem. The creature is not in its cage." "Do you mean not in its cage?" Lisa Chen's voice came back quickly. "I mean it is gone. The cage is empty, but all the locks show secure." There was a long pause. Then Lisa said, "I am calling the captain. Sound the alarm." Maria hit the red alarm button. Loud sirens began blaring through the ship. Red warning lights flashed in every hallway. Over the speaker system, Captain Grant's voice called all crew to emergency stations. Maria tried to stay calm, but her hands were shaking. The creature had escaped, and she had no idea how. It could be anywhere on the ship now. It could walk through walls and hide in places no human could reach. She checked her sidearm. 12 bullets loaded with special ammunition that could hurt the creature. Dr. Price had made sure everyone carried these bullets after they learned regular. Guns did not work. The creature was loose on the ship, was smart, dangerous, and now it was hunting them. Maria sat in her chair and watched the dark hallways on her security cameras. Somewhere in those shadows, the monster was moving, and she was the only one watching. The creature moved through the dark halls like a shadow. It had been planning this escape for many weeks. Every day it watched the humans work. It learned their patterns and habits. It saw when they changed guards and when they checked the systems. The humans thought they were smart, thought their energy cage could hold anything. But they did not understand how the creature's body worked. It could change the way its atoms moved. When the sensors swept the cage every few minutes, there was a tiny gap between the sweeps. Just 2 seconds. That was enough. The creature had waited for the right moment. When Maria was alone and tired, when most of the crew was sleeping, when the ship was quiet and peaceful, then it changed its body and slipped through the energy field like water through a net. Now it was free. It was hungry. The creature knew every part of the ship. It had memorized the maps from watching the humans use their computers. It knew where the important systems were located. First, it would destroy their power. Then it would hunt them one by one in the darkness. It moved through the air vents above, the hallways. Its claws made soft scratching sounds on the metal, but the humans below could not hear over the loud alarms. The creature smiled with its sharp teeth. Soon the alarms would stop forever. Captain Grant ran through the hallways shouting orders. Her short gray hair was messy from sleeping. She wore her uniform, but had not taken time to put on her boots. Her feet were bare on the cold metal floor. "All teams to weapons storage," she called into her radio. "Get the special ammunition. Do not try to fight this thing with regular bullets." Commander Murphy came running from the engine room. His face was red from running fast. "Captain, what do we know about the creature's location?" "Nothing yet," Grant replied. "Could be anywhere. The thing can walk through walls." Dr. Price stumbled out of his laboratory carrying a tablet computer. His coffee cup was still in his other hand, and hot coffee dripped on the floor as he walked. "This is impossible," he said, looking at his readings. "The containment field is still active. The creature cannot be outside the cage." "Well, it is not in the cage now," Captain Grant said with anger in her voice. "Your perfect system failed, Doctor." Lisa Chen's voice came over the radio from the bridge. "Captain, I have bad news. Something is moving in the power systems." Don't. The main lights just went out in sections 4 and 5. The creature had reached the power control room. It looked at all the cables and control boxes with its smart yellow eyes. The humans had built their ship well, but they had made one mistake. They'd put all the important power systems in one place. One room controlled lights, air, heat, gravity for the whole ship. The creature began to cut the cables with its sharp claws. Sparks flew as it sliced through the thick wires. Each cut made another part of the ship go dark. Soon, the humans would be trapped in cold darkness with no way to breathe fresh air. Back in the monitoring station, Rhea watched her screens die one by one. The cameras in sections 4 and 5 went black. Then Section 6 went dark. The creature was cutting power to the whole ship piece by piece. She tried to call the repair teams, but her radio was full of voices shouting at each other. Everyone was scared and confused. No one knew where the creature was or how to stop it. Maria looked at the ship's map on her computer. The power room was 3 levels below her position. If the creature was there now, it would probably move too. The life support systems next. Those were on level 2, right between the power room and her monitoring station. She felt scared but also angry. This monster had killed people on the alien ship where they found it. Now it was trying to kill her. Friends and crewmates? She could not run away from it. But maybe she could do something else. Commander Murphy and 6 other crew members reached the weapons storage room. They grabbed the special guns and ammunition that Dr. Price had made. The bullets were made from a heavy metal that could hurt the creature even when it was phasing. Spread out in teams of 2, Murphy ordered. Check every room and hallway. If you see the creature, do not try to be a hero. Call for backup and shoot to kill. The teams split up and began searching the ship. But the creature was always one step ahead of them. It watched them through the air vents and listened to their radio calls. When a team came close, it would phase through a wall and disappear. Team 1 searched the dining hall and found nothing. Team 2 checked the storage rooms and found only empty boxes. Team 3 went to the laboratory where Dr. Price kept his equipment. The creature had been there. Equipment was broken and papers were scattered on the floor, but the monster was gone. The creature was playing with them. It could have killed the search teams easily, but it wanted them to suffer first. It wanted them to feel helpless and afraid. Before it struck, the lights went out on level 3, then level 2. The creature was working its way up through the ship, cutting power as it climbed toward the bridge. Soon the command center would be dark and powerless. In the monitoring station, Maria sat in darkness except for the glow from her emergency computer screen. The power to her section was still working, but probably not for much longer. She could hear the creature moving in the walls around her, scratching and scraping as it climbed through the air vents. Dr. Price's voice came over the radio, full of panic. The creature is in the life support room. It is cutting the air recycling systems. We will run out of breathable air in 6 hours. Captain Grant's voice replied with forced calm. All teams converge on life support. We stop this thing now, or we all die. But Maria knew they were too late. Creature had planned this perfectly. By the time the teams reached life support, it would be gone again. It would keep running and hiding and cutting cables until the ship was completely dead. She checked her gun again. 12 bullets. If the creature came for her, she would be ready. But in her wheelchair, she could not chase it or run away. All she could do was wait and hope her friends could stop it before the ship became their tomb. The scratching sounds in the ceiling stopped. Maria held her breath and listened. Somewhere in the darkness above her, the creature was moving, getting closer. Soon it would come for her and she would learn if her bullets could save her life. Maria sat in the red glow of her emergency lights. The main power was gone now, and most of the ship was dark. Only the emergency systems still worked. Giving just enough light to see a few feet ahead, she could hear her friends calling to each other through the radio. Their voices were scared and tired. They had been hunting the creature for 2 hours, but it was always faster and smarter than them. Team 2 reporting came Murphy's voice over the radio. We checked the engine room. No sign of the creature, but it destroyed the backup power controls. Team 3 here, said another voice. The creature hit the water recycling plant. We have maybe 4 hours of water left. Captain Grant's voice cut through the chatter. Everyone listen. This thing is not just running around randomly. It has a plan. It wants to kill our life support. Systems one by one, Maria knew the captain was right. The creature was very smart. It understood their ship better than some of the crew members did. It knew exactly which systems to destroy to make them suffer before they died. She looked at her computer screen and studied the ship's layout. The monitoring station where she sat was at the center of the ship. 5 major hallways came together. Right outside her door, someone wanted to reach the bridge or the escape pods. They would have to pass through this area. Maria had an idea. It was dangerous and probably crazy, but it might work. She rolled her wheelchair over to a wall panel and opened it. Inside were the main sensor controls for this section of the ship. Normally, these sensors watched for radiation and temperature changes, but Maria thought she could change them into something else. She had studied engineering before becoming a security officer. She knew how sensors worked and how electricity moved through circuits. If she could rewire the sensor array, she might be able to turn it into a weapon. The creature's voice suddenly came through the ship's speaker system. It was speaking in Dr. Price's exact voice, but the words were wrong and scary. "Hello, my little humans," it said with Price's voice. "I'm having so much fun playing with you, but I'm getting hungry. Soon I will start eating you one by one." Maria felt sick hearing her friend's voice say those horrible words. The creature was mocking them, showing how perfectly it could copy human speech. Commander Murphy's angry voice came over the radio. That thing just spoke over the main communication system. "It has reached the bridge controls," Captain Grant replied quickly. "Negative. I am on the bridge now with Lisa. The creature is not here. It must be using the emergency communication panels throughout the ship." "Where is Dr. Price?" someone asked. There was a long pause, and Price's real voice came over the radio, sounding scared. "I am in my laboratory." That was not me speaking. "The creature has learned to copy my voice perfectly." Maria shivered. The creature could sound like any of them now. How could they trust anything they heard over the radio? The monster could trick them into walking into traps by using their friends' voices. She went back to working on the sensors. The wiring was complicated, but she thought she understood how to change it. She needed to connect the power cables too. The sensor dish and reverse the signal flow. Instead of detecting radiation, the sensors would broadcast it. The scratching sounds in the ceiling were getting louder. The creature was moving through the air vents above her station. It knew she was alone and could not run away. She was the perfect target for its next attack. Maria worked faster, her hands shaking as she connected the wires. She had to get this done before the creature came for her. If her plan worked, she could trap it. If it failed, she would die. "Commander?" Murphy's voice came over the radio again, but something was wrong with it. "Maria, this is Murphy. I am coming to help you. Stay where you are." Maria stopped working and listened carefully. The voice sounded exactly like Murphy, but she remembered hearing his real voice just a few minutes ago. He had been checking the engine room, which was far away from her position. There was no way he could reach her this quickly. "Murphy," she said into her radio, "what is the security code for emergency evacuation?" The voice that sounded like Murphy paused too long before answering. "The code is ... The code is 779. Maria knew that was wrong. The real code was 442. The creature was trying to trick her into opening her door. It was probably right outside in the hallway, waiting for her to let it in. She quickly finished connecting the last wire. Her makeshift weapon was ready, but she was not sure it would work. She had never tried to turn sensors into a radiation broadcaster before. She might just succeed in blowing up her own control panel. The fake Murphy voice spoke again from right outside her door. "Maria, please open the door. I am hurt and need help." She could see a shadow moving under the door crack. Something large was standing in the hallway just outside. The creature had found her. Maria rolled her wheelchair to the center of the room and drew her gun. 12 bullets with special ammunition. She had to make every shot count because she would not get a second chance. The door lock began to make clicking sounds. The creature was trying to break the electronic lock. It would probably succeed in a few minutes. Then it would come through the door and kill her. But Maria had studied the creature for 3 months. She knew its habits and behavior patterns. She knew how it liked to hunt and attack. Most importantly, she knew its one weakness. When the creature changed from its ghost form to solid form, there was a brief moment when it could not phase. For just a few seconds, it was completely solid and vulnerable. That was when she would strike. The door lock gave a final click, and the door slid open. The creature stood in the doorway, but it had taken the shape of Commander Murphy. The disguise was perfect except for the eyes. Those yellow glowing eyes gave it away. "Thank you for opening the door," it said in Murphy's voice. "Now I can eat." "You." Maria smiled and put her finger on the trigger switch for her weapon. "Come closer," she said. "I have something to show you." The creature stepped into the room, still wearing Commander Murphy's face. It moved wrong, though. Too smooth, too quiet. Real humans made noise when they walked, but this thing glided across the floor like it was floating. "You look scared, Maria," it said with Murphy's voice. "Good fear makes the meat taste better." Maria kept her hand steady on her control panel. She had spent the last hour rewiring the sensor array, turning it into something the creature would not expect. Her trap was ready. She just needed to get the timing right. "I am scared," she said, telling the truth. "But I am also angry. You killed good people." The creature laughed, and the sound was horrible coming from Murphy's mouth. "The people on the dead ship were weak, just like you humans. You think you are so smart with your machines and weapons, but you are just food." It took another step closer. Maria could see its yellow eyes glowing behind Murphy's face. The disguise was perfect except for those alien eyes that burned with hunger and hate. "Tell me something," Maria said, trying to keep the creature talking. "Why do you copy our voices? Why not just kill us quickly?" "Because fear is fun," the creature replied. "When you hear your friend's voice calling for help, you run to save them. Then I kill you. Your species is so stupid. You always try to help each other." The creature was now 10 feet away from her wheelchair. It was still in its ghost form, able to phase through any attack. But Maria knew it would have to become solid to kill her. That was when she would strike. "Your people made one mistake." The creature continued. "You should have killed me while I was sleeping. Instead, you woke me up and put me in a cage like a pet. Dr. Price wanted to learn from you," Maria said. "He thought we could be friends." The creature made a disgusting sound that might have been laughter. "Friends. I have been alive for 3,000 years. I have eaten the flesh of 100 different species. Humans are just the newest meal." It took another step forward, 8 feet away now. Maria could smell something rotten, like meat left in the sun too long. The creature's true scent was leaking through its human disguise. Over her radio, she could hear her friends, still searching the ship. Captain Grant was organizing teams to check the lower levels. They had no idea the creature was here with her. By the time they found her body, the monster would be long gone. "You cannot run," the creature said, looking at her wheelchair. "You cannot fight. You are helpless. This will be easy." "Maybe," Maria replied. "But easy is not always fun." "Do you want to know what I learned about you during our 3 months together?" The creature tilted its head, curious. "Tell me." "I learned that you are not as smart as you think you are." Maria's finger moved to the activation switch on her control panel. "You studied our ship and our weapons and our people, but you never studied our machines." The creature laughed again. "Your machines cannot hurt me? I can phase through anything." "Not everything," Maria said, with a small smile. "When you change from ghost form to solid form, there is a moment when you are stuck between states. For exactly 2.7 seconds, you cannot phase at all." The creature's eyes narrowed. "How do you know this?" "Because I watched you for 3 months. Every time you attacked the cage walls, you had to become solid first. Every time you picked up an object, you had to become solid. You cannot touch anything while you are a ghost." The creature snarled, showing sharp teeth that did not belong in Murphy's mouth. "So what? I can kill you before you can hurt me." "Maybe," Maria said again. "But first you have to catch me." She pressed the activation switch. The sensor array above her head began to hum with power. But instead of detecting radiation, it was now broadcasting a specific frequency that interfered with quantum fields. The creature suddenly stumbled. Its form flickered between solid and ghost states, unable to maintain either one properly. Electromagnetic pulse from Maria's improvised weapon was disrupting its phasing ability. "What did you do?" the creature screamed, its voice changing from Murphy's to something horrible and alien. "I turned our sensors into a quantum field disruptor," Maria explained. "Right now you are locked in solid form, but you cannot phase through my bullets anymore." The creature's disguise melted away, revealing its true nightmare form. 8 feet of black armor and razor claws. Its yellow eyes burned with rage and pain. It charged toward her wheelchair with a shriek that hurt her ears. Maria drew her gun and fired. The first bullet hit the creature in the chest, the second hit its shoulder, the third hit its stomach. The special ammunition designed by Dr. Price punched through its armor like it was paper. The creature kept coming, even with 3 holes in its body. It raised its claws to slash her throat. Maria fired again. 4th shot, 5th shot, 6th shot. Green blood splattered on the walls as the bullets found their marks. Still the creature fought to reach her. Its claws came down toward her face. Maria rolled her wheelchair backward and fired her last. 6 bullets as fast as she could pull the trigger. 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. The creature collapsed 5 feet from her chair. Its yellow eyes went dark. Green blood pooled around its body as it lay still and silent. Maria sat, breathing hard, her hands shaking. The gun was empty, but the monster was dead. She had done it. She had killed an alien predator that had lived for 3,000 years. And she had never even stood up from her wheelchair. She reached for her radio with trembling fingers. "Bridge, this is Maria. The creature is dead." I repeat, the target is down. Captain Grant's voice came back immediately, full of relief and amazement. "How did you manage that, Lieutenant?" Maria looked at her sensor array, now sparking and smoking from the overload. She looked at her empty gun. She looked at the dead alien monster on her floor. "I used my head instead of my legs, Captain," she said. "Sometimes the best hunting spot is the one where you do not need to move." I just waited for it to come to me. 2 hours later, pair teams had restored power to most of the ship. Dr. Price examined the creature's body and confirmed it was really dead. Commander Murphy shook Maria's hand and called her a hero. The New Horizon began its long journey back to Earth. In her report, Captain Grant wrote that Lieutenant Maria Santos had single-handedly eliminated a deadly alien threat using nothing but standard equipment and human intelligence. The creature had escaped from the most advanced cage humans could build, but it could not escape from a woman in a wheelchair who refused to give up. In the end, the monster learned that the most dangerous thing in the universe was not claws or teeth, or the ability to walk through walls. The most dangerous thing was a human who had nothing left to lose and everything to fight for.